That took a turn.
It sure did.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Stephanie.
And you are listening to Pastors' Wives Tell All,
A podcast by pastors' wives for church leaders and anyone desiring to take a peek inside our glass house.
We are breaking down walls and crushing pastors' wives stereotypes within the church.
We want pastors' wives and other ministry leaders to know that they are not alone in this. Plus, this is basically therapy for the three of us with a whole lot of dance parties. Whoop, whoop. Hey friends, welcome back to Pastors' Wives Tell All. We have an amazing episode today for you. We're going to talk about some blessings and some delays and how we have learned that there is sometimes, most of the time, blessings when there are delays.
Oh,
Amen.
so profound.
Thank you.
And now story time.
Yes,
tell us
now
all
we're
the
gonna tell a story.
All the delays.
Okay, so if you've been listening to this season, we've talked a lot about Africa, right? Well, Stephanie told everybody that we left her.
You did.
And so me and Jessica got on a plane. Well, we got on a plane to fly to Africa. And for those of you who don't know, we were meeting the rest of the team in Africa. Well, little did we know we would experience many delays getting to Africa. So, long story short, some of you, probably everybody's heard at this point about all of the stuff that happened with the airport, the cyber attacks that were, on the system for airports. Well, we kind of were thrown into that. We didn't realize it was going to happen. It happened. And long story short, we missed our first flight. We ran. Just picture me and Jessica, okay? We knew before we even landed in Atlanta from Charlotte, we knew that we were probably going to miss our flight. But we were like, you know what? It is what it is. We can't really do anything, but we're going to try. We're going to run. Here we are with our backpacks.
But that was after a first delay, right? Because even that first flight was delayed.
Oh, yeah.
We were sitting on the airport forever in Charlotte.
That's so true. We did. I forgot about that one. There was literally a delay with every transition that we had. It really is a blur at this point. So yes, but we got off of the airport. I mean, we got off of the airplane, not the airport.
Love getting off airport.
And we took off running. And our gates, the one that we landed at and the one that we had to get to, they were probably the farthest away.
A couple of miles apart
from each other. We had to run upstairs, downstairs, through the train, all the things.
To grandmother's house we went.
Yes.
I feel like this is an episode of Green Eggs and Ham.
So we were wearing sandals and we had our backpacks on that we were taking to Africa. The team had taken our luggage. Praise the Lord, because that would have been a whole nother situation. But we're running and we are soaking wet from sweat, y'all. And we get to the gate and our plane had left us 12 minutes before that. Praise the Lamb. And we tried everything that we could to find another flight. It wasn't happening. So we had finally accepted the fact that we were going to be staying in the airport on the floor, or we needed to find somebody in Atlanta that we knew that had a house. Well, praise the Lamb, Jessica's dad, he lives, 45 minutes from the airport. And so, therefore, they picked us up and we ended up going to his house that night. And me and Jessica were like, why is this happening? Like, we want to be with the team in Africa so badly. Like, what is happening? God, what are you trying to teach us through all of this? And there were so many little things that happened.
So it's funny because I know what you're about to say, Jenna. I know I'm reading your mind right now.
Do you?
Because literally I was talking with our friend Catherine because we were at the She Speaks conference, which is what y'all had to leave from to be able to go on this trip and why you were later than the rest of the team. But I told her, I said, what if all of this just happened because God was sweet enough to know that they just needed some rest? They were very tired. They had been speaking and doing all this running, and maybe they needed a shower after like the first delay. You never know.
Yeah. Well, we get to Jessica's dad's house that night, and I think the blessing in that delay was that we got to sleep in a bed instead of on the airport floor. So praise the Lord for that. Jessica's stepmom is Egyptian. Okay. And I have heard for several years now of the amazing cook that she is. And so, and I have never met her before, and I've been friends with Jessica since 2016. So I think the other blessing in staying at her dad's house was the fact that her stepmom woke up at crack 30 in the morning to cook us a full-on Egyptian spread breakfast.
Oh.
And when I say it was good, that does not do it justice, y'all.
So
it was.
You not only left me, but then you had the best breakfast you've ever had in your life without me. It's fine.
It was filet mignon actually for breakfast.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep. Technically, that's what it is. She explained that to me. Is that it's filet, but it's like in very thin strips, and they hang it to dry. Like it's like a whole. They hang it to. I don't know.
But
You're not helping.
in the eggs.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was
helping.
in the scrambled eggs with this. I just can't. I can't even. My mouth is watering just talking about it.
And you got to meet my sister
Yes.
and spend time with my dad and see how crazy he is.
He was hilarious. I was like, I love you so much. So great. So, and then they washed our clothes that night, which was a huge blessing because we only had one extra set of clothes in our backpacks for our time at the airport. And so there was that delay, and that blessing from the delay. And then we had another delay in the Ethiopian airport that we were not expecting.
Missed our flight again.
We did, and we therefore had ran to the gate again. So we're again soaking wet, and it was great. It was great. We smelled so amazing.
So we had 7 hours in Ethiopia.
7 hours, but the airport was completely empty. There was like nobody in it. It was not chaos, which was a redemption from the last time I had been to the Ethiopian airport because it was chaos. So it was
remember.
like I got to experience it differently. And we just got to sit and chill. And then we walked by a little massage place and we looked at each other because at this point, like our shoulders are like from that backpack, like banging on our shoulders from having ran so
look like turtles
much.
in a half shield.
We were hurting, y'all. And we saw that they had like a half body massage, like just your back, shoulders, neck, whatever, for $21 for 30 minutes. And I was like, yeah, it's happening. And so, y'all, these ladies were so sweet. They gave us the best massages. And then we decided to get a foot massage after that because our feet were hurting too. And we were like, why not? We've got how many more hours? So it really was sweet. We did get some rest and we got to like kind of be pampered a little bit. And that was so unexpected.
Yeah.
But still in the back of our minds, we're thinking like, well, why? Like, but still like, God, what are you trying to teach us? I think at that point we were just like, is it just because he knew we needed rest? Like, we don't know. Yeah. But I think, especially after being in Africa and sitting at night at dinner at one of the debriefs and hearing John Baptiste, the pastor we work with there, have a conversation about how he had to leave that morning. He had to go do some things to help get ready for the opening of the church. So he wasn't with the team for like the whole entire day. And that's really never happened before. He's usually always there. And I didn't think anything about it during the day, but like he mentioned, he was like, it's really cool. He said, I guess things can go on without me. Like, I guess things can run smoothly. And I looked at Jessica and I was like, that's like, I think that's what God was trying to show us on this trip was like Jessica has, because of her yes and her obedience and starting this ministry and what God's done through that. Like, I think as somebody who runs a ministry like that, it can be kind of scary to not be there, not be a part of it.
Relinquish it a little bit.
Be a little bit open-handed about some of the details about taking a team, especially this team. It was the biggest team we've taken in a long time, or maybe ever. 21 people. And Isaac was supposed to be shadowing her on this team, on this trip. And he ended up like just
Straight up leading.
just straight up leading it. Yeah. And I think God was just showing Jessica that it's okay. Like this can run because of your obedience. Like, I've got this.
Yeah. So I think that is, I would say, the big takeaway in the delay was that I know now that Isaac can handle it. I know now, even though I already knew it, like, because I have other leaders that have started to take teams, that like, I don't have to be there for him to do what he wants to do because it's his ministry, not mine. And then like, I think he also taught John in that moment that we have this, that you have taught us and poured into us, that we can do this. And the leaders that you've poured into can do it, the translators, one of those being his son. Like, that it can run smoothly and he can go away if he needs to. Yeah. So I think in those delays, the blessings was Jesus saying, I got you. This is mine. I'm not going to let anything fail. It's my ministry. Right. It's for my glory. Like, I'm going to make sure it's running smoothly and even more smoothly than you could do it. Right. And so it's just really cool to look at those blessings.
I have a spinoff from all of that, but to just church ministry, youth ministry. But first, I'm sorry. I have been laughing in my head for the past however many minutes, ever since you said turtles in a half shell. Because all I wanted to think was turtles in a half shell. Turtle power.
I know. None of y'all went with me on there.
We did.
I did in my head, but you kept talking. You just kept going, and I was like, well, I was going to laugh right there. I laughed in my head for a while.
Can I be Donatello?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Michelangelo.
Are you Raphael?
Sure.
Jessica's Raphael. Okay.
Anyway, back to the episode. You're welcome, guys. Go turtles in a half shell. Turtle power. That's great.
Wow.
Okay. So we're skirting back, rewinding. Okay. So when y'all are talking about delays and blessings that come from that, and then how God is the one in charge, so we can give up that control a little bit and he can handle it. And it's funny because my husband has always said that if he leaves a ministry, that the sign that he has done what he's supposed to do, true leadership, is that the youth group will go on and will still be able to function without him. And so for him, like, some people are like, oh, but they just love that youth pastor so much and it kind of fell off because they didn't have him. Well, that's a problem because true ministry, it shouldn't be about you. It should be about Jesus and God and how he holds it all together. So I don't know, as y'all were talking, it just makes me think about that even in our ministries, that we have to be okay with delays. In our ministry life, we have to be okay with God being in control and not us. And I know that we say that, oh yeah, God is in control. Is he? Or are you putting it on yourself like, oh my gosh, if I'm not there at that event, it's going to fall apart. Well, if it does, there's a problem. Because it should not be all about you or me or just what we have done. Same thing with this podcast. We go that far to say, this is Pastors' Wives Tell All. This is not Stephanie, this is not Jessica, and this is not Jenna. This is Pastors' Wives Tell All. And if for some reason the Lord decides to take one or all of us out of this and put someone else in this place, this is his ministry and he can do whatever the heck he wants to do with it. And we really believe in that. And I just love how even in y'all's story just now that you can see that and you can see God's hand. And like with John, just letting him know it's okay. Like, I have begun this work in you and I'm going to finish it.
Well, just staying on ministry, I'm going to go back a few years of, our Church Hurt episode that I think we shared probably, I don't know.
In the beginning,
maybe the first season.
Years ago,
or second season. I know there was 2 of them. So if you haven't listened to those, go back, because I know a lot of you are going through church hurt right now, or just coming out of it. And we still believe very strongly on those episodes, and that there's a lot to learn through our testimonies and things that we went through. But there was about 6 months that Jonathan was not in full-time ministry. And those 6 months were really hard. I'll be honest with you. When I walked into a church and was not needed and was not known, it was very humbling, freeing, but humbling, and just completely different than my whole entire adult life. Because Jonathan and I have been in ministry since we were married. So at this point, it's been 21 years. But so to be in a church, to be in ministry, to like the things that we have done and been a part of, and then to go to no one knowing you, no one needing you, not running a ministry, it's very different. Like, there should be like counseling for that, just in general. And so for me, especially, that delay in him getting back into full-time ministry and God giving him the next job and appointment was really hard for me. And so what I can say to those in waiting right now and going like, do we go back into ministry? If nothing's coming up, does that mean that God's calling us somewhere else? Does that mean that we're not supposed to be in ministry anymore? Don't let the lies get to you in the moments of the delay, because what he is giving you is rest. What he's giving you is time to heal. What he's giving you is freedom from all of the voices of, I need this, help me, do everything for me, beck and call of the church. And looking back, as much as I whined through a lot of that, feeling like, God, like, what are you doing? He was going, daughter, I'm giving you rest. I'm giving you what you need. I'm giving you what you whined for while you were in full-time ministry, like a Sabbath. I'm giving it to you, but you're too busy now whining and complaining because you don't have ministry. And so, like, if you are there in that season of waiting, it is a delay. And he is delaying your next calling for a purpose, whether that's you're not healed enough to jump back into ministry. And also hear me, that we were not completely healed when we jumped back into ministry. But the anger and the sin that can come with church hurt was gone. The healing of just being hurt and still struggling with some forgiveness stuff, I was still working through that. Jonathan did a much better job of letting go than I did. But he's giving you time to heal. He's giving you time to rest. He's giving you time with relationships that maybe have fallen through the wayside because of your lack of rest and lack of time to be with people or your kids. So in those moments, thank Jesus for that and know that that's not your forever. It's a delay. It's not your forever. So,
and I thought of another delay as you're talking, just a church delay that I think was necessary, but maybe I didn't see it at that time, is when I knew when we were at our last church that it was time to go. But my husband didn't know it until about 9 months or so later after I knew it. And I mean, just wondering, like, is this ever going to happen? Like, I really thought it was impossible for my husband's heart to be changed, but he did. And I think in that time of even just that 9 months, there was a lot of healing that happened for me because of some hurts that had happened over the past couple of years, or confusion or misunderstandings, like all of these things that I'm having to deal with. And then a few of those things being worked out, a few things not being worked out, but just seeing how God's hand was in all of it. And then I had to get to a place where I was ready to go, where I was a little more healed than I had been.
yes.
Because if I had taken all of that with me into the next place, that wouldn't have been good. Wouldn't have been good for that church. Wouldn't have been good for me. It just all around would have been a bad situation. And looking back, I can kind of see that now. I think at the time, it's hard. It's hard when you know God has said something, but then maybe you have a spouse who hasn't heard yet. And God's going, I'm just giving you a little sneak peek. You just hold on to that as hope. And I will work out the details over here on my timetable, not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
So
good.
I was going to say just friendships. I think all three of us can go there with friendships.
Yeah.
Because I think I can think for me, there were moments in my life, especially in my 20s, when there was some friendship hurt. And once that happened, the delay of going, okay, well, who are my like forever friends? Like what did I miss? Did I miss something? And what am I doing wrong that I don't have a better friends, and still had, some great friends, but just like still missing like some pieces. And there was a delay for quite a bit of time. And I think that we can go the same way with that. Like that delay is because I don't think the friend that he's going to put in your life is ready for you yet, or that you're not completely healed and know what happened in your last relationship to get you to the point that you're at. Because, you don't want to walk into things completely broken.
Right.
Sometimes that's the way the Lord works. But like for me, I needed to be healed and kind of learn a little bit more about myself so I can be a better friend moving forward in the future, and things to look for. And so I think like even just with y'all, and of course it started with Jenna years before, was I think like the delay was, I think Jenna had to get a point in her life where there was, time for us to hang out and be together, and her realized like her need for friendship, and I know she went through some church hurt friendship hurt and different things. And so I think we were both learning our own lessons. So it wasn't time yet. So the delay was there because the healing had not happened yet. The mind and the wisdom that comes with getting older and dealing with hurt that really helps you be a better friend and just person in ministry. And so that delay, I can say now, was completely worth it. So like those on the outside that are going like, I'm just continue to wait and nothing's happening. So like, I want you to know to continue to have faith that there is a reason for the delay. And also don't not hear what I'm saying when I say also that if you're not stepping out, and we've talked about this on podcasts, if you're not stepping out and making an effort and all of that, I'm really not talking to you, actually. I'm talking to the people that are prayerfully seeking, desiring godly friendships, that are making efforts to step out of your comfort zone, and you're still waiting. I'm talking to you. Like there's a reason, and the delay will not always be there, and there's a blessing in it. So you're learning lessons in it. And then when that friend comes along or those friends come along, you're going to look back one day and go, okay, I see the blessing in the delay. I was still learning. I wasn't prepared, or they weren't prepared yet because they were still going through crap. So I'm talking to you that there is a blessing in the delay, and it will come back around, and you will see the blessing, and you will see have those friends that are godly and will hold you accountable and are going to be worth the wait. So don't give up. God is still moving even when you don't feel it.
Absolutely.
Even when we don't see it, he's still working.
Even when I don't feel it, he's working. I can even just briefly add in a little bit of something that I spoke about at the conference we were at this summer.
Okay, Stephanie, preach to us.
Okay. Oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to preach, but I'm going to tell you something.
Won't he do it?
Actually, for real, won't he do it?
He did it.
Because he did, once again, tell me something that didn't happen right away. And when I say not right away, I mean like it was years later before I saw anything come to fruition. And that was when I felt led to write and speak and just be in that world somehow. And I wasn't quite sure, because I knew I was called to youth ministry when I was young. But I think in that mindset, it was that my husband was called and I was going to walk alongside him. Like I was going to marry a pastor, and that's all it meant. But God had a different sort of plan than what I had imagined. So it wasn't just me walking alongside my husband, even though that is a good thing. And I was doing that too with youth ministry, but I was called. And I saw that later as I was sitting in this conference, and the Lord is showing me that I would somehow one day be somewhat of an author or a speaker, but for him, but I didn't know what that looked like. And it was even better than I could have imagined, because in his goodness, that delay of years that I had to wait from the time he showed me that to now the time that we're doing this, that was like 10 years ago. And God said, you don't have to do this alone. I'm going to show you this and give you a piece of it. But years down the road, I'm going to give you people, and they're going to do it with you. And now I get to do this with my best friends, and we hold each other accountable. I think it's better with the three of us, the mix of the personalities, the mix of what all three of the giftings we have, even how it comes together from like little things, the speaking, the social media, the marketing, the photography, all of it, like all combined. It's exactly what we needed for this time. And God saw that, but it took that delay from the time that God called me in high school, then called again and showed me a little bit more 10 years ago, and then to now. His delay was me learning and growing and waiting for the right people to come along to do this. Yeah. It's just, it's been so good.
Yeah. I think that goes back to King David. Like he was called as a young boy, but to be king, but he wasn't prepared right there in that moment.
Right.
He would have screwed it up. He wasn't ready. He didn't have the wisdom. He hadn't had the all the things that he went through to get him to the point where he was prepared. So there's just so many blessings in delay. So we challenge you to walk in that delay with confidence that he is moving. But in that delay, don't get complacent. Like stay praying and fasting and abiding and surrounding yourself with people that will continue to encourage you in that delay. And then when it comes to fruition, it's going to just be huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Well, we love you guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out. Okay, friends, if you have enjoyed this episode as much as we have, please help us spread the word on Facebook and Instagram.
If you didn't know yet, Instagram is where all the fun is at. From dance reels on Wednesdays to spiritual encouragement and laugh out loud posts in between, there is something for everyone.
And last but certainly not least, if you could take a moment right now to stop what you're doing and give us a rating and review, even subscribe to our podcast, this seriously helps other people find us who wouldn't be able to otherwise. Thank you so much for your love and support. We hope you'll tune in next week.